TV 13, the leader in sports television, presents Air Force Football 1986 with head coach Fisher DeBerry. Sponsored by the First National Bank, McDonald's, USAA Insurance, and True Value Hardware. Now your host, John Eves.
And good evening, everybody, from our Channel 13 studios. Again, the final score Saturday, Air Force 24, Hawaii 17. First game, and Coach, after the ball game, you said you thought it might come down to the very end of the game, and that it did.
Well, John, you know, having such a young football team, and we anticipated there would be a lot of errors, and it sure were. But, you know, we felt like certainly the two teams would be so evenly matched. You know, Hawaii had such a veteran team returning, and I knew we were going to have to fight for everything we got. And we tried to condition our players that it would come probably down to the last 5 minutes, and really felt like the conditioning of our football team would make the difference in the overall outcome of the game.
Being down on the sideline, I could not believe the size of Hawaii, especially number 75. He was 325 pounds. They said he was 400 when he got to the school. They're really as big as any team you're going to see this year.
I don't believe we'll play a bigger team that has a bigger offensive front and maybe even bigger defensive front. John, they were good. They were as good as I really anticipated them being. I've got to give a lot of credit to our defensive front. Ty Hankermer and John Steed and Spiewak and Hennings. Boy, what a great job they did all afternoon. They never gave up. They kept pressing, but boy, there was a big size differential up there. And then, of course, that Hawaii defensive front really put a lot of pressure on our offensive front.
All right, Coach, we've got all kinds of highlights. We're going to take a look at Saturday's big win by Air Force 24-17. We'll have that and much more right after this. Confidence to come from behind.
John, I think so. And you know, looking back at it in retrospect now, you know, I think it might have been the greatest thing that could happen to us, because I really did. I told the guys after the game was over, it really felt a good emotional environment on our sidelines whenever we had that situation that we had to come from behind and we had to do it. And then when we did it, I think it bred a lot of confidence in our football team.
All right, let's go to Falcon Stadium if we can and take a look at the beginning of the game. And first of all, Coach, a record opening day crowd. Magnificent.
Oh, praise the Lord for a beautiful day, John. And, gosh, we're so appreciative to the fans in Colorado Springs, the Denver area. Over 46,000, the largest crowd we've ever had for an opening ball game. You know, there's so many exciting things that happen out there. And it's just a great family environment, I think. And, you know, this is like the chicken being hatched here. This bird, this falcon. Boy, what an asset. And do you know that he was voted as the most outstanding mascot of all the college and universities across the country this past year?
Fantastic. Now, how'd you like the noon kickoff?
Well, you know, I didn't mind that at all. You know, I think it gave the fans an opportunity to have a little post-game and tailgating activities, you know, and I think everybody will enjoy it and adjust to it.
All right, here's their kicker, Briggs, kicking it all the way out. And you take over, a little scare on the first offensive play, but you recover it right there.
Boy, I tell you, they shot that linebacker through there, and, of course, they did that several times to us. And Kevin Bullard, you know, this was his first game, and, boy, after that first snap, what a great job he did for us all afternoon. But Mark made a super play there in keeping it from being a bad play, and, of course, Mark kicked the ball on that particular play extremely well.
Here's William Bell from Colorado Springs.
And, you know, boy, he's going to be one of the outstanding runners in our conference. And we were fortunate to hold him. We didn't do anything our first possession. They didn't either. And then we got a drive going. And what we were trying to do, John, early in the ball game was take a little pressure off of Troy and put it on some of the responsibilities of some guys that had been out there like Johnny and Pat and Mark a little bit. And, of course, this was a fine play here to Johnson, their wide receiver. And he scares me to death every time he's got that ball in hand. But we swapped the ball again now. And this is called option pass or run. And they read the pass pretty well and hung, and Mark did a great job of turning it back up the field and got us, you know, a fine play out of that. But again, we turned the ball over, and of course, you know, we turned the ball over, John, at our end of the field, and that's bad when that happens.
Well, they miss a 52-yard field goal, so you're just feeling each other out. Still 0-0, Coach.
Exactly. And then, of course, this was a fine executed play here by Troy. We were throwing downfield. He read the coverage very well to hit our outlet man, Johnny Smith, and we came up with a good 13-yard gain there. Johnny's a fine inside runner, and look at that balance and look at that extra effort on his part right there. And we had a fine drive going right here, John, to conclude the first quarter.
All right, we move into the second quarter already, and we'll start it off with Mike Johnson, a 37-yarder.
Boy, I'm telling you, Mike really far exceeded our expectations. We know he's got a strong leg. Guys work so hard in the weight room, but you know, those kicks that he kicked, I'm telling you the truth, 35-yarder, 28-yarder, 22-yarder, John, those were booming kicks, I'm telling you.
All right, here we go with a fumble by them, Coach, so you get an early turnover in the second.
Great hit there, and, you know, by our linebackers, Mackey and Spiewalk, and then Mike Tolliver comes up, and, boy, they got the ball for us in great field position right there. And we come out, and, you know, we're going to try to get one real quick, and Troy just misread the coverage there. And, again, that's just a complete lack of experience on his part.
Well, they roughed the passer, Coach, so that kept you alive. And here we go with Johnson on a 22-yarder.
Well, we were a little disappointed that we got down there, John, and did get more than field goals. Of course, we're always pleased to get the field goal, and we got all the confidence in the world in Mike. But yet, you know, we've got to put some points on the board touchdown-wise whenever we get those kind of breaks that our defense gives us.
Johnny Steed on Kroll, and, boy, what a ball game he played.
Boy, Johnny played a great game, and I told you he was going to be a force to be reckoned with. Now, here's a situation where we had a pass call, and Troy had to react to the coverage as the play developed and did it very well. Thought we, you know, had him beat right here, and this is Anthony Roberson from out at Sierra High School, but, hey, that's a defensive tackle running a 4-4 guy down. That's, I don't know, of course, he was all-conference for Hawaii last year and a great football player, and I told him after the game he's certainly one of the premier players in our conference, I think. And, of course, Mike comes through for us again, and we go up 9-0.
Hey, they almost ran this one back. Blasey kicking in the end zone. This is Johnson, and watch the play Steve Ziegler makes.
Boy, fine play, and that's Steve's responsibility right there. He's our safety man, and he did his job, and of course, we had good pursuit back to the ball, but, hey, they should have never broke that thing like that. And here's old Johnny Steed again. And what a great day he had, and I'm so happy. He's worked so hard and been so patient to get his opportunity to play.
Tommy, what can you say about Tom Rotella? Almost broke this one.
Boy, this was a great play right here. Some great blocks. Look at those blocks in there. Tommy gets it down the side, and, John, you know, he's got good speed. And he's a game-breaking guy. There's no question about it right there. And, of course, this is William Bell, just between him and the goal line. And William makes a great play right there, but we get that ball on a 57-yard return. And what great field position for our offense now.
Well, that's going to set up your first touchdown, and a great effort right here by Pat Evans.
Great effort, but a fine read by Troy Calhoun. And that was an option play all the way right there, and he read it exactly right. And, of course, Pat carried it in, and that was the first touchdown of the season. Of course, our guys are very happy, and they're coming together as a solid football team.
16-0, but they do mount a drive right towards the end of the second quarter. He's a fine quarterback.
Boy, he really is. Eric Tipton, of course, you know, last year he threw for 327 yards in the opening game. But that young guy right there, Dias, is a great receiver. He made some clutch catches across that middle yesterday. And, boy, this is, we
just
can't,
out of bounds.
Wow, what a way. He really put it in there. Great effort on Dias's part, but just barely out of bounds. Had pretty good coverage on the play by Tommy. And, of course, Valverde, their field goal kicker, comes through for him the last play of the first half. And, you know, he's only 5'3".
All right, Coach, time of possession, you're looking great. It's the end of the half. You're leading 16-3. You've always told me the beginning of the third quarter, a lot of the time, is the most important part of the ball game, and you guys came out a little bit flat. What'd you say in the locker room?
Well, I told them, you know, exactly that. I said, man, when we go back out there the first 5 minutes, we got to create the same domination we'd had. And I was pleased that we had been able to keep the ball as long as we had in that first half. And, you know, our defense was pretty rested, but, you know, we go back out there, and dadgone it, we stop them, and then we get the ball, and we can't move for 3 plays, and then all of a sudden, they began to get a little momentum in the game. And they have some good drives, but yet we hurt ourselves with some costly penalties, too, in those drives.
All right, let's go back out to the second half right here. Here's the kickoff, Coach.
Good coverage right there, and again, we look at the number of blue jerseys down there, and we get that ball down around the 20-yard line, and that's exactly what we want, and force them to punt. And then Tommy makes a fine catch right here, and, you know, he fielded the ball awful well yesterday, I thought. And, you know, he's a darter and a dasher, and he's very deceptive. But we were a little disappointed again, and they start the second half exactly like they did the first half.
Their blitzes really hurt you, especially when Troy was auditing at the line.
Well, they did, and to be honest with you, again, we had restricted some of the things we were doing, and you know, we really yesterday went on basically 2 snap counts so that we, you know, could not put pressure on our young offense. And
Dias, a good receiver. They get the drive going.
And Steve Ziegler comes up and makes the hit right there. Fine defense right here, boy, by Brady Glick, by John Steed, by Mike Walker there. And, you know, they had a tough time getting in against our defense down there, John. But then they toss it out to Corral here, and he takes it on in all the way outside, and he just kept bouncing until he found the soft spot.
We got a heck of a football game going now, Coach, 16-10, and we're going to see a fumble right here. Pat makes a nice run, and the ball just comes loose.
Well, you know, Troy right there, audible and got us in the right play. Pat just, you know, through second effort was trying to break the tackle there and just lost concentration on the ball. And, of course, the thing about it is we gave him the ball in such good field position. But Johnny Steed, again, comes up for a big play, a tackle for a loss, and, you know, we're feeling pretty good. And then all of a sudden right here, they throw that ball again.
Right in between two defenders.
I'm telling you, Dice, he really came up with some big plays. And, you know, we had double coverage on that guy on that play.
Did you?
So that shows you the ability of Tipton and Dice and the combination that they have right there.
Well, I don't know if he got in, but they called the touchdown. And, Coach, you got a tie ball game. They're going to kick the extra point right here. And what are you thinking?
Well, you know, I felt like we still had plenty of time in the ball game. The only thing that concerned me, John, is that our offense had been out there 3 possessions now, and we had been, you know,